Welcome to the Fighting on Film podcast, the podcast all about classic and obscure war movies, from the Normandy landings to the days of chivalry and swords. If it's been captured on film, we're going to try and cover it. I'm Robbie of RM Military History.
I'm Matthew Moss of Historical Firearms and the Armourer's Bench. Hello and welcome back to Fighting on Film. Now, this week we have a special treat for you. We're heading back into the show and tell realm. Now, we haven't done one of these since May 2024.
Blimey.
Now, it's a special format where Rob and I talk about a war movie or a military-centric piece of media that we've watched in the last couple of weeks, and we tell each other about it blind. So this week, I'm going to be telling Rob all about House of Dynamite, which is the new Netflix film from Catherine Bigelow. Rob hasn't seen that, and Robbie's going to tell me all about Red Cap from the 60s, and I haven't seen that, so it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, but before we get into the show, as you all know, me and Matt enjoy a beer when we sit down to watch the films, and we know many of you do as well, so we're pleased to have partnered up with Double Diamond, courtesy of Allsop's Brewery.
Yeah, so if you want to win some delicious Double Diamonds, simply follow us over on Instagram and also follow Allsop's Beer and Double Diamond Beer over there as well to be entered into the draw. And remember, Double Diamond works wonders, so drink one today.
Oh, yes, do indeed. And also, if you could give the show a 5-star review on your podcast app of choice, it really helps the show grow and catch new listeners, and join the Patreon and all that good stuff if you're that way inclined. So, Matt, I think it's time you tell us all about House of Dynamite.
Yeah, there was a bit of furore around this one, bit of buzz, a little bit of hype, perhaps. This
Zeitgeist.
is right. Yeah, right. This is Catherine Bigelow's first film in 8 years since her last film. She's best known for Point Break, K-19, The Widowmaker, Hair Locker, for which she won 2 Oscars, first female director to do so, and Zero Dark 30, of course, as well. And it's an interesting one. The film follows about 20 minutes of a nuclear missile being launched, and the US's kind of like state apparatuses scramble to intercept the missile, work out where it's come from, and try and decide what to do next. Do they retaliate? Do they not retaliate? So you got classic flavors of fail-safe, and lots of other, kind of procedural.
Doctor Strangelove, things like that. I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So it was fail-safe that struck me the most because we focus a lot on the president. So instead of Henry Fonda, we have Idris Elba playing an unnamed president. My headcanon is that he's the same president that is in Heads of State with John Cena that came out a few months ago.
Oh,
I haven't seen it. Saw the trailer, but I thought that'd be hilarious. If it was the same president.
Perfectly serviceable straight to streaming action film, but that would be cool if it was.
Yeah. There's a headcanon.
Well, no,
enjoy that one, everyone.
Well, actually, Elba played the UK president.
Oh
in that.
no, he
so
did.
Unless
he did. He was a PM, wasn't he?
Maybe he moved to America, became a citizen, and then somehow won an election.
Yeah. That's a shame. That see, I hadn't seen it, so I did.
Yeah. It would be John Cena, which would have been equally as good because he's a good actor as well.
Very interesting. Yeah. So Elba is alongside Rebecca Ferguson, who's very good in this. Gabriel Basso, Jared Harris plays the Secretary of Defense, and Tracy Letts as well. Really interesting film. I quite enjoyed it. I liked the way it was shot. I liked the way it was done in this sort of like classic perspective narrative, multi-perspective approach, where it tells the initial story from the radar/ground-based interceptor missile base in Alaska, Fort Greedy, which does exist. That's the actual name of the fort. The base that the ground-based interceptors are based on, and then also with Rebecca Ferguson's character, who's a kind of she runs the White House Situation Room, essentially.
Okay.
And they see this missile launched, but they don't know where it's come from because the radar misses it. and they pick it up on radar after it's launched, so they can't vector where it came from, so they don't know whether it's Russia, China, North Korea, or wherever. And it's a single missile as well, which is weird because, obviously with mutually assured destruction, you try and fire everything and knock out as much as possible.
Just see if one gets through for a laugh.
Yeah, well, that's kind of there's an argument that could be a thing because you have plausible deniability if you manage to do it from somewhere that isn't picked up on radar initially. You can kind of go, it wasn't us, that kind of thing. And there's a lot of discussion around that throughout the film. So as I say,
so it's never described who fired it then?
No, exactly.
Okay.
And so
we should preface this as a spoiler. Yeah,
it's a spoiler review. So I mean, we haven't spoiled anything so far. So,
okay.
But we probably will in the next 5 minutes. So essentially, the missile's incoming, and they scramble to work out what to do about it. They fire off a ground-based interceptor missile, which is unsuccessful. Spoilers. And then they kind of realize that it's vectored towards Chicago and it's going to wipe out Chicago.
No.
And then in the second act, it tells the story from the perspective of the Secretary of Defense, which is Jared Harris, a recent widower and an estranged father. And that all comes into play in the third act. And then there's a little bit with Idris Elba's character, who wasn't in Heads of State, apparently. Ruined my headcanon.
No, he was in it. But
he was in it, but his character wasn't.
You think, yeah.
So, that unfolds nicely, and it becomes evident that they don't know who's done this, and Elba just has to pick a scenario. He has to decide who he's going to strike back.
Like in the Simpsons film. When they offer up what to
like
do.
3 books, yeah.
Yeah.
I was elected to lead.
No one ever picks Italy.
So basically,
if you stop a missile before you leave, Homer, it'd really help me out.
I found the film really interesting. Good performances, though nothing really stood out. It was well written, but nothing was like really juicy. No one really got their teeth into it. Harris did a really good job with what he had for the Secretary of Defense, being quite a nuanced character. He actually commits suicide. He literally is walking towards the helicopter to get jetted off to a bunker, and he just takes the left turn and goes off the side of the building.
Oh gosh!
Because he's realised that his daughter that lives in Chicago, he can't save her, can't do anything about it, and he's got no other reason to live. Yeah.
Oh gosh! Wow.
So it's a very stark story. Good score throughout. And I was watching, and I messaged you, didn't I? And I was like, I think this score was done by the same chap that did All Quiet on the Western Front, which was Volker Rettelman. And there's this one recurrent motif during the sections with Elba as he's trying to decide what course of action to take. And
it's like very reminiscent. Yeah, like that. Yeah,
and it's very reminiscent of the motif, the main motif from All Quiet on the Western Front. And I looked it up and I was like, yeah. So it was
one of them
literal
big boxy French tanks careers through the window. No, it's interesting because I did want to see it, and I knew that either me or Matt would watch it. As soon as it came out, we tried to get a screener for it, we just couldn't. I thought this one was weird because I initially thought, from all the reviews and some early pressing, I thought it was a series, not a film. And then
kind of looked like it.
Over the course of it coming out, it said that it was a movie. And I think it's like this straight-to-streaming thing where we talk about it a fair bit on the show, that it's a shame that it's straight-to-streaming because your brain starts to think, well, this is a streaming movie. You kind of
it had a little bit of a cinema run in the US and over here.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a screening in Liverpool. Like the 20.
Well, we're deep in Oscar territory, aren't we? So that's probably why.
Yeah, they kind of have to.
Well, it legitimises your project as a streamer.
Yeah, well, exactly. And of course, it being Netflix, there's no budget, very limited cinema release. So it's kind of like, you do have that streaming mindset when you go into it. And I was quite surprised that they went with the multi-perspective narrative technique, because I expected, from all the
quite straight laced.
Yeah, because I expected all the, from all the imagery and the posters and the trailer that it was going to be following Rebecca Ferguson's character throughout.
Mm.
And she's predominantly only in the first act.
Okay.
But yeah, I liked it. I thought there was a number of really interesting nuances. I thought if you aren't really clued up on what a ground-based interceptor and what a kinetic um, um, vehicle is that strikes the nuclear missile when it comes out of the ground-based interceptor, then a lot of the jargon will just wash over you.
Yeah.
Like that was one of the things that Laura, my partner, said when we were watching it. She was like, there's a lot of acronyms in this, and I'm like, yes, there is. But if you're familiar with the way the US military works and the way intercontinental ballistic missiles work and how missiles
Yeah.
work
Just
and the
before you
trajectory
watch
stuff,
it,
it kind of helps.
Write down on a piece of paper: nuclear missile bad, shoot missile out of sky before
I mean,
explode,
it does
and
boil
keep
down
looking
to
at that. Keep looking at that every time you're confused.
It does kind of boil down to that, and you don't need to know all the acronyms, but it's kind of like it does like become a little bit of technobabble.
Yeah.
And one of the interesting things around this is that the Pentagon has come out and said it's actually quite inaccurate. The film's not super accurate. And I did a little bit of digging, and apparently Bigelow wanted to avoid involvement from the Pentagon to have that independence to tell the story.
Okay.
But she did have a number of advisors on set daily who were well versed in kind of like the statecraft, the foreign policy stuff, and the technical side of things, which gives it that authenticity. There's a section where the National Security Advisor basically says there's only a 61% chance that the interceptor will actually hit the nuke.
Yeah.
And the Pentagon, of course, have come back and said that's not right. That's not true.
Don't panic. Don't panic. Yeah.
So yeah, you get a little bit of that, and I just think it's really fascinating that a film like this is prescient now as it was in the 50s, 60s, and 80s, 70s, and 80s. It's we've come around again to this point where this kind of film, following the same kind of format as War Game, Failsafe, Threads, The Day After Tomorrow, and all that. Not Day After Tomorrow, the one with Steve Guttenberg. But they all, they follow this very specific kind of order and precedent where they tell this story. A lot of people have been pretty angry that it doesn't have a really succinct conclusion. Yeah, it kind of just fades to black over a. It cuts back to Fort Greedy, which is where the ground-based interceptor was launched from, and it shows the commander of the watch kind of just like on his knees outside hyperventilating, which I think is very powerful.
Yeah. Well,
but at the same time,
like,
yeah, I know. And he failed. And I thought that section of the film was really interesting because it shows the reaction of everyone in the command center of the ground-based interceptor base. They realize that they've trained for this for months, for years, and then they failed at the one job they had.
Well, this is the thing. I saw some people complaining about that online as well, review sites, things like that. But my whole thing was people were liking it to Failsafe as well. Some of the reviews that I've been reading, and I'm like, but Failsafe just ends with everyone getting nuked. Failsafe just cuts.
A lot of them do.
I'm like, there is no other way to really end a nuclear film unless you avert the missile.
Well on the Final Film Facebook page group where everyone was chatting about it, I think Ian McClellan posted up his review of the film, and that was very interesting to read. And a few other people chimed in, including Jonathan Ferguson, friend of the show, and he was saying that he was disappointed that it didn't show either the missile failing, which is a very real possibility that's discussed in the film, or the missile actually detonating and what happens after that. But with a film like this, you have to realize you have to think about, when do we stop the narrative? Because some people accuse Threads of going too far. It goes like 20 years into the future and shows
Yeah.
her baby, fully grown, having her own child, and the nightmarish post-apocalyptic
Living in the
landscape
after
that Britain
effects,
is
yeah.
at that point. Exactly.
Yeah.
Where do you stop? Do you stop a month after it? Do you stop 10 years after it? Do you stop the minute it happens, like Strangelove does and Failsafe? Where's that cut-off point? I think a really effective way of doing it would have been, and a bit of a nice homage to Strangelove would have been cut into like a CGI of the missile approaching Chicago, like really approaching, and Chicago looming
And
out
then
of the
cutting.
clouds,
Yeah.
then cutting to
Because
black.
we can
Then
imagine what that's like.
we know
yeah.
what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen enough media around this to know what.
No, I agree. I mean, talking, people's opinions and thoughts on it, I thought it would be prescient just to mention a few on your thread you made on the Fighting on Film Twitter.
Yeah.
Lance Nielsen said third act was great. Rob Shipman says terrible poster, interesting premise, but does fall
the
a
poster
little
is
flat.
bad.
Yeah. After the segment, I don't normally mind an open ending, but this left me feeling a little cheated. I get what they were going for, but it's not one I'll watch again. Jay Hovde said a serious misfire in important ways, just like the frustrating Civil War. It cops out dramatically and thematically with a no one's at fault and everyone's at fault premise. It may remind some of Failsafe, but at least Failsafe was brave enough to dramatise the awful consequences.
True. To a degree.
Greg goes, excellent film, but leaves a little bit to the imagination with the ending. Mary Sadler, I thought it was mediocre at best. Maybe a sequel would help redeem it. And then we'll round it out with Alan Taylor says, thanks, I'll take a look at it.
It's worth having a look. It is. There's a nice little sequence with the B-2 crew, the scrambles from an Air Force base, and you see them in the air and they get the attack code through, but you never see them do anything, which is, again, a bit of a shame. And I know it does. The thing is, films like this and films like Civil War, they do a lot of world building. And then if they don't have like a very satisfying conclusion where Civil War obviously did, Nick Offerman gets shot. Spoilers on that one if you haven't listened to our review or seen the film. But in this one, it doesn't have that kind of culmination that you might have wanted.
Maybe
and
somewhere
I can understand why. There is a reason I can see it creatively.
Maybe somewhere my theory of it once being touted as a series maybe rings true. Maybe it's been chopped up into a feature.
Maybe.
Perhaps.
Maybe. I think it works well as a film. I think it works. But yeah, interesting one.
Well, that's one for all you Netflix account havers out there in Fighting on Film listener land. Go check it out. No affiliation, it's just something to watch. So we'll have a little break and we're into Red Cap.
Hello there, sorry to interrupt. I wanted to let you know that you can now join our supporting cast over on Patreon. As thanks for your support, you'll be able to help us pick films, submit questions for guests, have first pick on brand new and exclusive merch, and much more. Thank you for your support. Now back to the show.
As you'll know, Fighting on Film and Warfare Media partnered up to give our listeners a huge discount on high-quality Cold War posters. But now there's more. Warfare Media also offers clothing and the chance to order OP4 DPM camouflage uniforms. Support the podcast and use the code FOF20 at checkout for 20% off your order. Don't delay, visit warfaremedia.net today. While Matt was watching House of Dynamite, what am I going to watch? And I ummed for a while. And I thought to myself, you know what? I haven't watched an episode of it for a while. And I was doing a sort of watch on it. And anyone who wants to watch Red Cap, it's out on Internet Archive. All the episodes that are available, because two have been lost to time.
Yeah.
So for those that don't know, Red Cap is a sort of military police procedural, British SBI Special Investigation Branch member in the mid-60s called Private Man, played by a very, very young 22-year-old John Thor, who'd later gone to be in the Sweeney, Inspector Morse. This is one of his sort of big first breakout roles. And it was by ABC Weekend Television and broadcast by ITV in the UK from 1964 to 66. So we're right in this post-World War II sort of mid-60s British army, British military. So it goes everywhere, this series. You're in Germany one week, then you're in Aden, then you're in Cyprus, then you're in barracks in London. It goes everywhere.
Tell you what, joining the MPs gets you about, doesn't it?
Oh, this really does.
Most lads are stuck in Germany or get posted to Northern Ireland. John Thor's all over the shop. He's actually living the adverts.
If they have the sets to do it, they go anywhere with this. It's really like a nice little series in that regard. So
well, it's an interesting period to kind of do, isn't it? You got that whole post-colonial milieu. You can go to a whole variety of places.
And there's so many trouble spots as well, like where we are at that time as an army, as a nation. So these episodes I'm going to mention talk about are written by Troy Kennedy Martin, British screenwriter known for Kelly's Heroes, The Italian Job, Bravo 20, and of course later on he creates a Sweeney, which Thor jumps on board on. So very big pedigree here. So the first episode is season 1, episode 5, and it's called Private McCann's Private War. So that conjures up very like, some dude's going to go mad and have like a private war against the British Army. Not really go that way. So the main plot of this one is a chap has stolen 3 Sterling submachine guns. Obviously, I chose this episode with you in mind, Matt.
Of course, naturally.
And he's working a man sent to Cyprus where it's happened to help find these guns because they're not sure where they've gone, why they've been taken. And it's just an interesting little police procedural episode. Man finds out that he's working against other British Army intelligence officers who are also trying to track them down, and he's got to work with them. It's not as sort of military-esque as you'd want the episode to be. It's very much set in office rooms, and you sometimes go to where McCann has sort of like sided with these Cypriots who aren't for one or aren't for the other. It's insinuated that they want to attack a Turkish outpost with British weapons, so then they can spark something big, and it's whether they're going to be able to do it or not. And one of the interesting things about the episode is I'm just watching it, enjoying it. When a very young Windsor Davies turns up as the quartermaster, Sergeant Major of the armory where the Sterlings were found, and he's saying, well, one of them's his personal weapon. I can't do anything about that, but the other 2 were pinched, and there's these little green marks that I put on all of my guns. So if you find them and they've got a green mark on them, then they're definitely ours. Lots of very, for the time, words that were used in normal parlance, but to our sort of viewing now are very dated, I must say. Some not very nice words uttered. Spicy words, yes. And it's just, as I say, it's a standard police procedural affair, but it's elevated because it's looking back at it. It's this really interesting, where are we at the time? What's going on? And this episode, it shows them working with Cypriot troops. It shows them working with UN Irish troops. There's a really interesting plot about, McCann is from Northern Ireland, and he was in a bar, and they have there's an off-screen fight with some Irish UN peacekeeping troops, and that could spark something, and they're worried that it's, oh my God, is the IRA involved? What's going on here? And it just turns out that McCann's fell in love with a woman, and to keep being maybe in love with this woman, he is going to help these revolutionaries, essentially.
Right.
And McCann gets him a man gets him in the end, and it's all hush-hushed because it's gone to the press, and it could make the major of his unit look very, very, very egg on his face. So that's really good. Nice little episode there. But then I thought, that wasn't as punchy as I wanted it to be. And the great thing about Redcap, even if you've seen the remake with Tamsin Outhwaite from the early 2000s.
Oh, yeah, set in Aden. All in one place, that one, wasn't it?
No, that was set in Germany mainly, I think.
Oh, no, there was another Redcap then. So there's been 3.
Well, really? They do it again?
Yeah. They did a Redcap that was all set in Aden.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
I didn't come across. Wow.
I remember the Tamsin Outhwaite one now. Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah.
Bit of a weekend evening.
I remember that
staple, wasn't it?
Saturday night. Yeah. So I thought,
after Monica the Glen or whatever. I don't know.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Monica the Glen. Wow. Or the or the one with Alan Davies and Carolyn
Oh,
Quinton.
Jonathan Creek. Yeah,
Jonathan
yeah.
Creek. Oh
Classic.
my gosh, yeah. Wowee. Sunday night viewing. Anyway, so I thought that's not as punchy as I'd want it to be out of Red Cap. There's so much going on here. So I sort of scrolled through the episodes and the synopsis is on IMDb, and I came across the last episode of season 1, episode 13, called The Patrol, and this one is really in our Will Park, Matt. It's a cracking little episode. So yet again, written by Troy Kennedy Martin. So man's helicoptered into an active patrol in Borneo, of all places, to get statements from the men from that patrol for one of their comrades who is awaiting trial. But a deeper plot unravels when the men of the said patrol are found hiding a much deeper secret that could condemn like 3 or 4 of them. They're all in cahoots.
Ooh.
And that itself is very interesting because man is choppered in on a Wessex scout. He comes in and he goes, right, I'm here to take some statements. Call me a helicopter. I'll get out of your hair. And they go, are you joking? There's an Australian civilian tracker with them who knows one of the commanding officers, and he's been with him for years in Borneo. And the guy goes, well, you have a job because we're being tracked by bandits and communist guerrillas. You can't really leave very well because getting that chopper in alone was hard. And man looks at the officer and goes, I'm not jungle trained. And they go, well, you're going to have to be with us. So he's forced to then tag along on the patrol and do his job at trying to get these statements out of the chaps. And it's a really tense, really good little episode of television because it has this tenseness of like, well, what's so bad about this getting these statements out of these chaps? Like, they've all done a statement before. Man just wants them to sign the paperwork so he can leave. And then it all unravels. But then you've got this really great little sound-staged sort of B-plot of them being chased and ambushed by the bandits. And you get a really great little firefight halfway through. You've got man letting off with his Sterling. You've got the Australian tracker with a side-by-side shotgun.
Nice.
There's some L4 Bren action in there too. And it's like a little, really lovely little sort of, Borneo firefight inside of a, 1964 police military procedural. And I was thinking, it might be the only depiction of British troops in Borneo, narrative speaking, that has probably been made.
Outside of that comedy that was made.
Like the Virgin Soldiers, but that's Malaya.
Yeah. Is it?
That's Malaya.
Right. I'm not seeing it.
I think it's Malaya. I don't think it's Borneo.
You mean to watch it.
Yeah. So it's just really
right.
interesting. And there's, for Ali Tally, not really doing it this week, but there's Jungle Greens, Sterling's, SLRs, 44 pattern webbing, as I mentioned, the Westland Scouts, and it's one of the more action-heavy Red Cap apps. But then the sort of the actual the statement thing comes into play, and it's really well written by Troy Kennedy Martin. Really good, telling you exactly what you need to know as the viewer. No chaff here. You get to know just enough about the men, why they might not like each other, who's the goodies, who's the baddies, and then this plot of the guys were in Germany, and one of their wives while she was on living off base, got in cahoots with this German businessman and was threatening to marry this German businessman and leave their mate bereft and
right.
wifeless essentially. They didn't want that, so one of them murdered her and him, and then the other one took the blame.
Wifeless.
Yeah, the other one took the blame, but then he did it with his own bayonet. So he's got the murder weapon with him. So when man finds this out, he needs to get them all back. And there's a running battle with them being chased by the bandits, but then also being like fought from the inside by these 3 chaps who want to get out with their life. And they end up just about making it all out, and they get their Wessex in. And it's just a really great little hour of television. And it just I think it sums up like the sort of the 50-50ness of Red Cap in 1964-6, where I've seen some real boring episodes, and I've seen some great ones. And later on, I was telling Matt before we started, there's an episode where a Scottish regiment is posted to Germany with the BAOR, and it turns out that historically their regiment took the town under quite heavy fighting and left it pretty much in rubble. So the villagers don't like them. The townsfolk don't get on with them. And there's this sort of like, what's going on here? There's also episodes about a commando raid where they've had 2 men killed in weird circumstances, and Manga's on the case, and it turns out that they've been murdering people they don't like because they're not up to snuff. And there's some great little plot lines in here, and there is a DVD available on it. But I just thought I'd sort of tell you all about some Redcap that I watched. Quite an interesting little series in its own way. If you're a fan of post-colonial, post-World War II British Army things, this is for you.
Sounds fascinating. I haven't seen any of them. I've seen some of the Redcap ones. I don't think the one I'm thinking of set in Aiden's called Redcap, but it's about Redcaps.
I know the one you mean.
Yeah.
Yes.
So similar sort of thing, but probably more personal intrigue and all that kind of thing. But
was that the one Channel 4 did?
I can't remember, to be honest with you.
No.
But I knew it was set in Aiden. I do like John Thor. Great actor.
Thor is why I was watching it, really.
Yeah, and I do think that, as you say, is a really, really interesting period to be able to do this, because obviously the Tamsin Outhwaite one, what's she going to do? She's going to be in Northern Ireland, Kettering, or the one base we had in Germany. That's it. I mean, she might, if she's lucky, she might go to Belize. There's a lot of scope for a period drama, although at the time it was contemporary.
It's a really fun little series, and they don't make TV like that anymore, really. They don't really do it the way they did in the 60s, because there's no theme or there's no overarchingness to any of it. It's just, here's what man's doing this week, here's where he is, and here's the problem he has to solve. There's no overarching plot line.
Episodic TV like that has kind of disappeared of late, hasn't it?
Man's your only constant. He doesn't have like a CEO he has to report to. There's no other main characters. It's just him, and you're following him. And I think that's such a refreshing way to do TV, where it's right, this is it.
Totally.
Enjoy it. These are your 49 minutes. Up next is the big match. There you go. Like it's just a nice little thing to sort of little palate cleanser, because sometimes you don't want a film, but you want a film-esque. And this is kind of what I see it as.
For sure.
Yeah, so do check out a bit of Redcap, folks, if you're that way inclined. So I think that brings us on to this week's large question to round out the show. And it was Matt's large question this week. And he asked us all, with the release of House of Dynamite last Friday, what do you think is the best movie to deal with the concept of nuclear war? Ooh.
Highbrow questions on Fighting on Film, isn't it?
So we had some great replies. Trevor Edwards out the gate says, Failsafe, the straight non-comedy version of Doctor Strangelove. Very true.
Totally.
Look at the production of both movies, Dr. Malcolm Davis says, still Failsafe, but I'd rank Dynamite high. Also, Doctor Strangelove is excellent. I'd also recommend By Dawn's Only Light and Crimson Tide. Paul says, I'm going to go for my favourite answer, as we all know, one of my favourite films, Crimson Tide, and the serious answer of War Games. Simon Whippet, War Game again. Kerry Thomas, definitely Threads, was a nuclear paranoid teenager in the 80s, so much between that and The Day After. I had many sleepless nights, however, and will pale into significance when compared to the Protect and Survive public information films. Now there's a proper brown underpants time.
Yeah, totally.
This is nuclear fallout. Terrifying, isn't it?
It really is.
The Night Irish, another one for Threads. Andy Brown says, Mad Max, think about it before dismissing it.
No, I can see that. I mean, that's
a valid shout.
That's the future. Post-apocalyptic. Yeah, nice, go on.
I like it. Dave A goes with the Bedford incident.
Oh, yeah.
Richard Winmark and Poitier, yes.
Yeah.
David Smith goes The Day After. Matthew Eggs on Legs goes When the Wind Blows.
Yeah, I was thinking that one myself. And that's a more personal story.
It is.
I think, unlike a lot of them, Threads does it quite well. It gives it a human aspect. A lot of them go for a very procedural approach, like House of Dynamite does and Failsafe, and etc.
As a piece of animated film, When the Wind Blows is superb. The real sets with the animation, it's just, it's amazing. The soundtrack's really good too. Stephen Dye goes Threads, and rounding us out, we'll have one for Lester Jetson Bandido and Burt Plumswang, who both go Terminator 2.
The bit where she's holding onto that chain link fence and she just gets vaporized, I think that scarred everyone of our generation.
It did. That's how I feel when I open the oven to get some food out. Ah.
Oh yeah, same. Staring into the abyss of the air fryer.
Oh yeah. My bones, my precious bones. Um, so Matt, what film do you think deals with the concept of nuclear war well?
I think it's Threads. Threads of the War Game are my definitive choices. Threads has an eerie, timeless, but at the same time of the moment vibe to it, feel to it.
Yeah.
Threads is just on a human level is terrifying because it does a very good job of telling a very human, personal story in a very recognizable kind of locale.
I've only ever seen up to where the bomb drops because I don't think I could manage it the full way through.
It's fine. It's if you can watch Come and See, you can do Threads.
Well, I've seen the War Game, but
it's the same thing. It is bleak and it is very interesting. I think the strength of those two films are the research that went into them. But then When the Wind Blows is such a emotive film. It really does hit you hard.
Raymond Briggs at the peak of his powers. Yeah, exactly. His career is so interesting to me that he gives us the Snowman, the really great Santa Claus cartoon from the mid 80s, 90s, which is absolutely amazing. And he does When the Wind Blows in Ethel and Ernest, which is some of the most emotional movies that I've ever seen. It's like incredible. So for me, I've gone for a I've got here for a rollicking nuke-based heist hybrid. It's Robert Aldrich's Twilight's Last Gleaming, because I love Lancaster in it.
Oh, he's great in it, yeah.
Really cool. Really cool film.
You could say Broken Arrow as well with John Travolta.
Yeah,
that's all about stealing a nuclear bomb as well.
Yeah, I just really liked it when I saw it. It was like a real good twist on the genre.
We need to do that one.
It's fantastic. We'll do a Red Scare month. I think we've said before.
Yeah, we've talked about it for quite a while.
Films that don't directly like fail safe, Twilight's Last Gleaming. I think it'd be a strong month that. And then of course, just for sheer bleakness, it is The War Game, Peter Watkins's magnum opus. It's just one of the most affecting films I think I've ever seen. You're like, I Come and See, bleak, horrible, but The War Game is just. This is what I found out. This is why we're all fucked. It's there's something to it, and for it to be banned for 40 years and then played before Threads, or just after Threads. I think they did them in a double feature on one after the other. It's pretty ballsy, the BBC, I've got to admit. They're really going for it in 85. But it is just one of those, you have to see it at least once kind of movies, because it's...
Oh, totally. It is.
It's amazing. And it's... Exactly, and the documentary realism is a thing we don't really have anymore. As a sort of, it's not in vogue anymore. But if you love your documentary realism, if you like things like Santa Mitra, London, You Target for Tonight, your Fires Were Started. What the War Game is is the post-war version of those movies. I think a documentary realism month would be good to do as well, because I think it's one of our strongest ever movie subgenre sort of gluts that really did launch a lot of great careers, massively so. And that's a direct response to the Second World War as well, which is all very, very interesting. But for another time, Matt, because I think yet again it's time for the outro again. So don't forget to go and follow Double Diamond Beers or Allsop Brewery over on Instagram, and ourselves too, to be in with a chance to win some delicious double diamonds. They work wonders. And all that's left to say is, you've been the listeners, we've been Fighting on Film, and we'll catch you next week, folks. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.